Welcome to the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies, where there's always another secret.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies. Today is September 16th, 2019, and we are recording episode 40, when we should actually finally be back to our normal recording schedule for a while. Now, in this episode, we are still digging at what's been going on with Roshar, moving into the conclusion of Oathbringer, though this will not be our last episode for the book. I'm Bill, and I'm joined, as always, by my unitary co-hosts, Amy and Jordan. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
I didn't say Unitarian. We're not discussing religion on the show.
No. Only we really are. A lot of it.
We're not discussing our religions. We're not discussing
Cosmere.
real-world religions. Although, who knows what people have decided to follow.
Give it time. You never know.
Hey, for those of you who listen to the podcast recordings or watch the videos on YouTube, we do want to remind you, you can join in and interact with us live via chat as we record each episode at www.twitch.tv/innkeeperstable. We record episodes of the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies every other Monday night, starting at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. So join us, take an active part of the discussion, and hey, that schedule actually should hold true for a little while until it doesn't, because life happens.
Yes.
That's an excellent summation of the situation.
Indeed. Speaking of, it feels like it's been forever because I think the last time we recorded was almost a month ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with my Monday nights.
See, I was in Europe, and so I had a few ideas of what to do.
Poor
I
Bill.
went to
Poor
London.
Bill.
I explored it. It was great.
It's fun there.
Mm-hmm. And I saw the Peter Pan statue, and I went to Oxford. And okay, I'm bragging now. Sorry. What have you all been up to?
Do you want to go first, Jordan, or you want me to?
I was staying home and spray painting amiibo for tournaments and stuff. Season 2 of PAL is coming up. If you're interested, hit me up on Twitter. But yeah, nothing cool like that. Other than that, earning money at a job that pays me to do stuff.
That'll do it.
Yeah. So I was at FanX last weekend, which is why I sound like I have a cold, because I kind of do. And I sold dice, as my booth buddy person was like, I was slinging dice. Anyway. But I dressed up as Queen Eleanor, and it went over pretty well. I need to fix the wig again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the wig that never doesn't need fixing. And I was casual Anna from Ralph Breaks the Internet, and that was like one of my most comfortable cosplays ever, because it's like normal clothes and a wig in braids. That's like it.
Yeah,
Converse for my shoes. It was comfy.
I saw that He-Man you made as well.
I know.
I think he may have been less comfortable.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. He was not He-Man all day. I saw him later in the day, and he had changed into normal clothes, and I was like, I totally understand that. Yeah, because that was like 80% of your body is exposed, if probably more. But anyway, a lot.
Awkward.
So, anyway, He-Man does not wear a lot of clothes. Moving on.
Oh, gosh.
So, yes, I sold lots of dice. It was great.
That's awesome. Guys, I've missed y'all. I've missed this. Like, I love my family, and that's who I went on my cruise with. But I've only got one person in my family who'll talk Brandon Sanderson with me. And I have two of you. See, that's twice as many people.
The math checks out.
It does.
Solving the world's problems with math and English.
Yes.
Speaking of solving problems with intelligent study, the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies is made possible by the support of our listeners and patrons. The show, of course, will continue to be free, but if you want to help us out, you can head over to patreon.com/Cosmere Studies. Even pledging a couple dollars each episode will really help us out. We just want to keep improving the show and basically keep making it happen. Our patrons will get immediate access to our Discord channel. There you can talk about the show and the Cosmere with other wonderful geeky people, other listeners of the show. It is an amazing community. We have some great discussions. Some of them are awesome, in-depth theorizing about the Cosmere. Some are off-the-wall distractions into prequel memes. So,
Yeah.
But you also will get early access to our bonus episodes, exclusive access to other bonus content, and hey, even automatic entry into some of our giveaways. We do like to take time as we can to thank specific patrons, and this week we want to thank one of our newest patrons, Ethan W. So thank you for being a part of the Sandersonian Institute and helping us out. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ethan.
You're a dude. Right?
You can't make that assumption.
It's true enough. There's some weird names out there now.
Could be Athena.
That's I'm not even going into this.
Okay, I guarantee you somewhere there's an Athena. Somewhere there is.
Oh,
I know the Athena you're thinking about, but I was trying to make Ethan a female name.
Oh no, it makes perfect sense. Now, guys, in tangentially related news, today, September 16th, 2019, does mark a sad occasion. It is 12 years ago today that Robert Jordan passed away.
Has it been that long?
12 years.
Jesus Louise, it didn't seem
12
that long
years.
ago.
Yeah, that was one of those things that just, it affected, thousands upon thousands of fans and just broke their heart. Of course, Brandon was able to pick up the reins and finish the series, but
Fanfic writer's dream.
Except that he more than anyone probably wished that hadn't been necessary.
Yeah, he'd rather have it.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would have preferred
he's not a fanfic
Jordan
writer by tradition.
Robert Jordan.
Although he has written for Magic the Gathering as well.
That's true. So actually,
Yeah.
you're right. He's now
But that's
dabbled in
sanctioned
more than
fan
one.
fiction. That's a little. There's another term for that, isn't there? Where like they have you write in their world.
ghostwriting?
I know
What
in
was that,
TV tropes, the meme is like ascended fan.
Yeah. Which is Brandon. Like, that really is Brandon.
Yeah.
Yep.
But there is also happy news, because today is also the day that filming began on the upcoming Wheel of Time television series.
It means I need to actually read them.
There's been a lot of excitement about this. Now, of course, the positive thing about this becoming a show is that the series is complete. And so there is no worry about, mid-show tangents off into who knows where. We're not going to get Yu-Gi-Oh style Yu-Gi-Oh Naruto style filler. We're not going to
Bleach
get
style filler or any of the shonen anime. Oh my
the
god!
main
And then,
one
of course,
everyone's
there's
thinking about is Game of Thrones.
Oh, clearly.
I do not know enough about Game of Thrones. I know enough to pick up a lot of the pop culture stuff, but I don't know details that way.
As someone who watched season 8, I know enough to know that it seems everyone sort of just got tired of it in production. It just sort of seems like that.
But, okay, we got to wrap this up. Come on, guys.
Right, yes. Talking about another series.
Well, plus, Game of Thrones, GOT, Wheel of Time, WOT, coincidence?
I think not.
I think not. Okay, I think Amy wants us to get to Oathbringer. She's waving the book around.
I'm trying to help us
like
get
a
on
mystical
topic.
talisman.
It's really hard to do it.
It is tangentially on topic, though, because, again, Brandon is very closely tied to Wheel of Time. I believe that he's actually been a consultant for the show as well.
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
Amy, since you have the book there, do you mind finding out how big Part 5 is, just in relation?
I know it starts on page 1073. And I believe it's just under 1,300 pages long.
Part 5 is a book in and of itself.
Just the fact that the conclusion of the book, like the main epic conclusion, starts on page 1073, that says something right there. Because most books don't cross that 1,000-page mark. And this one starts to wrap things up a little bit. It's almost 80 pages beyond.
Okay. The end of it is 1233, and it starts at 1073.
Jeez. Wait, 1233? I thought it was... Oh, that's including the Ars Arcanum.
No, that's before Ars Arcanum.
No, I mean the almost 1,300 pages.
Yes, Ars Arcanum is right after
I was like,
that.
it was close to 1,300 pages.
It's 37, 39. Yeah, I didn't count those pages.
It's
not
crazy. It's crazy how big it is. It is the most insane Sanderson avalanche.
Yeah, and it's you compare it to the other books inside it or parts inside it, and it's a lot less chapters, but there's just so much. It's so dense.
This is something I'm going to make a statement, like just plant a flag right here, because I did read The Wheel of Time, and I read the 3 books that Brandon wrote, and I've said that the 3 books that Brandon wrote were the Brandon Avalanche of The Wheel of Time, and that the A Memory of Light was the Brandon Avalanche of the 3 that Brandon wrote, and that the chapter Tarmon Gaidon is the Brandon Avalanche of the Brandon Avalanche of the Brandon Avalanche.
Oh
I will say this conclusion stands on a par with it. I can't say that it was beyond it, but I would put it on even footing, because this was just enormously epic.
Sorry, just for comparison.
Oh boy,
the Final Empire was 657 pages long. So this final section is 2 Final Empires.
Wait, what?
You said 1,300 pages?
That's the book. That's the whole book.
That's the whole book.
Sorry, I meant part 5.
So part 5 it starts at 1073 and ends at like 1230 something.
Yeah, so it's about,
It's still really big.
It's hefty. Well, and the other thing is that so much is happening.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, it's a little bit distracting in some parts on how it jumps and has such short sections, but it makes it flow well at the same time, and that you're not just going, here's what happens to Seth, here's what happens to Navani. It's more, this is all happening about at the same time, and so it has to show them distinctly.
Well, there's so many viewpoints.
Well, if you listen to Writing Excuses, that's one thing that Brandon's actually talked about. He's done this in just about all of his books, even all the way back to Elantris. And Elantris was, a different story altogether, because there were 3 viewpoints, and they always went in the same order. And so there were times where there were chapters that had like 1 paragraph. And in this one, he's doing the same thing. Brandon has mentioned on Writing Excuses that one of the ways to build urgency is to have viewpoints shift quickly like that, because it makes it feel like there's so much going on.
You can't relax and go, okay, I'm focusing on so-and-so and what they're doing. It's more, oh no, but now we're on this person and on that person and that person. And I stayed up until like 1:30 rereading the end.
So good.
I'm trying to think how many viewpoint characters there are, because there's Dalinar, Renarin, Yasna, Adolin, Shallan, Kaladin, Navani, Teft, Ash, Seth, Lift,
Venli,
Taravangian.
Oh yeah, Taravangian has like a little snippet
At the end.
Taravangian.
I feel like even with all that, I met 13
Moash.
people. Moash, 14 people.
Oh,
Wit.
Moash. And
Wit.
Wit's more at the end more than anything.
It's part of the same part.
So in the final part, there's 15 different viewpoint characters, and I'm sure we miss someone. I'm sure we miss someone.
I'm sure there's somebody.
At least.
But it jumps all over the place, and it's a sawtooth wave. It's not a roller coaster, because it is. We finally something good happened, and then it's just a quick descent in. But this is why it gets worse.
Yeah, it's like there's hope, and so and so's getting smashed. There's something good on. Well, it's like back and forth, and you can't relax.
Like we started off, the part 4 ended with Teft realizing that his coat had been stolen to be used to betray everyone that he loves.
Well, not
and
stolen.
then someone
He
died.
sold
I
it.
can't remember.
Right, but
he sold it for his addiction. Yeah, and then and someone dies, and other people are severely injured, and it's just, and the honor blade's gone.
Yeah,
so
bad things.
And on top of it, they're trapped on the other side in the cognitive realm with an entire army between them and the gate.
And there's a bunch of fused, and they're sort of going, and we only have this much stormlight.
Just remember, Kaladin, the enemy's gate is down. And it can be.
Depending upon point of view.
I got that reference. I got that.
But no. So actually, let's start there with the trio in the Cosmere.
Well, actually,
really,
I think this time This time, I think we should actually start with the Dalinar flashbacks, because there's only one, and it's the very first thing that
and
we
it's
have.
a big one.
And it's a huge one. So, and there's all sorts of juicy tidbits that we don't really get to explore either, and it frustrates me so much. So Dalinar and a companion named Felt, who we will discuss in a moment, finally reach the valley where the Night Watcher, of course,
The Great Valley.
can be found. So what does Dalinar find when he enters the valley?
He finds a train. A bunch of...
That was louder than normal.
Sorry, I never really heard it, but that time I heard it. Anyway, he does not find a real train. No, he
That we
finds
know
a forested area, and it's like totally enclosed so that there's greenery all super deep within it.
Yeah.
And they camp right outside of it. But before that, he gets woken up and told that the caravan they're with is spooked and does not want to stick around. And so he's like, fine, go ahead and pay them for their silence. And then we'll head on by ourselves, because Felt had been there before.
Right. Okay, actually, let's talk a little bit about Felt, because there's a fun little exchange that, after realizing something and giving proper context, is a lot more amusing. So Felt and Dalinar are sort of chatting about the valley, and Dalinar, or Felt is explaining to Dalinar, he says, so you're going to want to go in alone because, I've been here once. She never appeared. I'm pretty sure she doesn't like foreigners. And Dalinar mentions, oh, well, then I may have problems too. And Felt kind of chuckles. He's like, you're a bit less foreign, sir.
Wait, are you implying what I think you're implying?
I am implying exactly what you think.
Oh my
I'm
goodness,
implying.
I didn't know this.
Oh, okay.
What?
So
What?
sorry, this was the first time I recognized a World Hopper. And it was only because the name Felt, he's from Scadrial. He's from the very first trilogy. He's a servant in the Set household.
Not the Set household.
Or not Set,
Venture
household. And the only reason I remembered that is because his name was Felt, and that just stuck out to me the first time I read it. I'm like, what a weird name, Felt. Like,
What?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so when
Yeah,
he says, man, he's got to have some shin blood, judging from his eyes, because he looks like Shin, because the Shin look like every other person who's not from Roshar.
They look like Caucasians. What? So Felt was Lord Venture's spy master, I believe.
Yeah, I think that was sort of his role.
And then later on, he ended up working for Elend after things happened to Lord Venture.
Oh, he
Which
was
means
the
that he
one.
would have
He was
been
the
involved
one.
with...
Sorry, he was the one.
ahead.
I'm just looking it up. He was the one who spied on Kelsier's crew for Elend.
Mm-hmm. So anyway,
My brain's
but yes.
exploded already. This is bad.
Yes, so we know a little bit about Felt, but not much. Brandon has said that Felt is from the time of the Final Empire, and he is from Scadrial.
And he's also said he's not currently part of the 17th Shard.
He has said that at the time, Felt was Cosmere aware. Beyond that, we don't know much about it. And we also have no idea about Molly, his wife, like whether she's from Roshar or Scadrial or what. But
He's
But
world
yeah.
hopping.
so we got another fun little world hopper there. I love the line, "You're a bit less foreign, sir."
It's like, I'm a bit more foreign than you think I am.
And so the Night Watcher doesn't like foreigners. Is it because they're not directly tied to Roshar? Is it because they're touched by another shard, particularly?
I almost wonder if it's because if you're that kind of foreign, that means you're probably Cosmere aware, and she doesn't want to get involved with that. She doesn't want to risk
That's very
tampering
possible.
with it too.
Also,
that's
the
my
fact
thought.
that the Scadrians have bits of preservation put into them.
Preservation does seem a bit opposed to cultivation.
Actually, I hadn't even thought about that
Yeah.
aspect, but yeah. So that's fun. And now I really want to know a lot more about Felt because, dang it, Brandon. Anyway,
Crazy.
so Dalinar enters the valley and feels nothing of the thrill. He actually wanted to, like, sort of counted on the thrill to kind of bear him up going forward because he's a little bit nervous.
It's been his crutch,
understandably
kind
so.
of emotionally.
Why would he be nervous? It's not like he's walking through a forest that's making all these strange scratching sounds all around him at all times.
And the vines seem to be moving and everything else. Yeah, totally not
and,
creepy.
And then suddenly he starts to hear weeping and screams and pleas, and they sound all too familiar.
Yeah.
And then he sees himself killing hundreds and thousands, and he realizes this is his future.
It sounds like he's seeing a bit of the future that Renarin sees for him later on.
Yeah.
It sounds very similar.
Mm-hmm. And then the Night Watcher appears, and she's creepy as all get out. Mm-hmm. She's like a Japanese mythology.
Yeah, she
shadow creature.
She strikes me very much similar, sort of how if you ever seen The Grudge.
Oh yeah,
the way she's crawling everywhere, except she grows hands out of her head and.
But it's like, goodness. It's one of the formless demons that you see. Like, they show up all over in, like, Studio Ghibli stuff.
I'm sure they have a name, and I cannot remember right now, and I feel terrible that I cannot remember what it is.
Now I'm going to imagine No Face.
Oh, gosh.
No Face is a whole other thing.
That's a whole other thing. That's true. And one of the first things that the Night Watcher says is she calls Dalinar both Son of Honor and Son of Odium. I thought that was fascinating that she calls him both. And when she says Son of Odium, it's a question.
Because it's not totally set in stone.
Uh-huh.
But the path he is currently, he's going
it's just...
Odium calls him son all the time.
Mm-hmm. Not at all creepy. No.
Yeah.
No, I also find it very interesting how innocent she comes across. We know that she can be bonded via a bondsmith, similar to the Stormfather. But we also know she hasn't really had one in quite a long time, and the Stormfather didn't get a lot of concepts without the bonded Dalinar, and she's in a similar spot, it seems.
Someone expressed a theory, and I didn't really adhere to it at first, but I'm leaning more towards it now. I can see Navani eventually being the bondsmith who bonds the Night Watcher. I'm not entirely sold on it, but the more I've thought about it, the more I like it. And so, because I was originally thinking that Navani was going to be a Stone Ward. But I don't know. I'm just feeling like she would actually fit very well as a bondsmith.
I mean, Navani's kind of a patron type thing, and I mean she's also an inventor. But I could see that mixing with the Night Watcher because she gives. Well,
and I can also see her being tied to cultivation because what does she do? She cultivates scholars, and knowledge. And so this is absolute speculation. Aluminum foil.
Oh yeah. I mean, if Yasna wasn't already an Elf's color, I could see her doing that too.
Well, and she could be an Elf's color too. That's the thing. I do think though that Navani is going to be a Radiant. A lot of people are like, no, I don't want Navani to be a Radiant. I think that
with all the ties she has to so many Radiants, I can see it happening.
Exactly. It feels like it's coming, and I don't feel like that's a contrived thing. I think that Brandon has been building to it. So
yeah.
But when the Night Watcher asks Dalinar what his boon is, he says forgiveness, and it kind of ticks her off.
Well,
it bugs her.
Yeah, she doesn't really know how does she do that? It's
right.
Well, and it's on top of, I wonder if she even understands what the concept of forgiveness is in her.
Because she probably hasn't had that introduced to her. Not many people would probably come asking for forgiveness compared to I want power, I want money, I want these things. They want something physical or.
Well, I'm sure that's part of the issue. Maybe with Taravangian's boon, where he asked for both, capacity and compassion. And
he asked for capacity, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh no, he
asked for both.
Yeah, he did ask for both. You're right.
And she gave them both, just never at the same time. And it's I wonder how much of it is she feels like she has to curse them, or in how much of it is her misunderstanding might lead to it. We don't really know. There has to be a cost of some kind, clearly, but I think part of the
because she doesn't seem like she's malicious in how she does it. So I feel like it's more of
there's some mischief in her though.
Yeah, but she doesn't feel totally
she's very
malicious, with her
very
creepiness.
very fey.
Yeah.
Oh, very fey. Yeah.
As in the FAE version.
FEY.
Is
or FAE. They're the same thing.
I've seen, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, it was very interesting to see her because it was not anything close to how I was assuming. Mm-hmm. And man, that was creepy.
Oh, the physical representation, it didn't really, it wasn't what I was expecting, but the personality and stuff fit very much what I was thinking.
Yeah, I don't remember what she looked like at all. So rereading it, I was like, oh yeah, you are really creepy.
I forgot this was we had a horror scene just thrown in the middle of this.
Here's the horror. Have it.
Well, and Dalinar asks for forgiveness, and she's just like sort of confused, and so she starts offering him a bunch of stuff: renown, wealth, skill, the ability to swing his sword and never tire, beauty, followers, feeding his dreams and making him glorious, perhaps possessions, spheres, gemstones, shards, a blade that bleeds darkness and cannot be defeated. Hello.
Just like, I wonder what that is. And I just part of me wonders, how would she have even made good on that one?
Like, yeah, did she have him? Well, the other part of me wonders, what if Brandon had introduced this scene before introducing Nightblood into the book?
That'd have been weird.
Oh, man. It was one of those things that I would have read and my eyes would have gotten big and just like, say what now? Sort of like when a certain question was asked of Zeth. Oh, gosh.
But no.
I could see the Night Watcher having people pass him along or make sure that he ended up with Dalinar compared to just like her directly having him.
Yeah. So did she have possession of him at some point,
I'm sure she's aware of him because he's so invested. But I don't know that she would have had him because I don't think she would want him in her valley.
Oh, you don't think he's very life, giving at all?
No, he's so cute, but I don't think he's very friendly to plant life.
Yeah, I just wanted to lick you with all 7 of his mouths.
Also, he probably would have mentioned her in some of his rambling to Zeth.
Yeah, if he was held on to her by her, yeah.
My guess is it's more the way she gives people these boons. She would have somehow tied his fate or something like that to it to where it would have come into his possession. Mm-hmm. Just if I had to guess at the mechanics of what was actually going on, but who knows? Because we got so little, so much yet so little information on her, and it's just so. It's also interesting once cultivation actually shows up, how she like hangs around and is like moving between their legs and stuff. And
it reminds me of like one of the creepiest cats, the ones that are just like, I'm going to stand here, and when you take a step, I'm going to move so that you fall down to your death.
It reminds me of Rosie. She'll put the ball right behind your feet and think that you can see it. And then, and we've sort of trained her out of it, but for the longest time, she would do that. And so you had to be careful when you step back, because otherwise you're going to trip on the ball. Not fun. Anyway, go ahead.
It's like the time when Jordan almost murdered our roommate with a stuffed animal.
I may have thrown it at him as a joke, but it was at the top of the stairs, and apparently he did not see it in his peripheral vision.
And didn't he get caught in his legs though?
No, but
or did it just
it startled him
anyway
right at the top step, and I almost murdered him with a stuffed unicorn.
Yeah.
It would have been problematic.
Yeah.
I would have had to file paperwork.
That said,
thank goodness.
Assaulted with a skillipede.
Anyway, so after she's sort of been trolling him, cultivation then herself appears, and you notice sort of the stance that the Night Watcher takes towards cultivation. It's almost like defensive. She's like, he came to me.
This is my job, Mom. I got it.
I'm just doing what I'm supposed to.
It struck me as a teenager.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like they talk about how the Night Watcher is Cultivation's daughter. I'm just like, oh, it really feels like it. Wow.
Yeah.
But she's like, he came to me. I'm not doing anything wrong. Let me do my thing.
You don't understand me, Mom.
It's like this spoiled goth teenager who's just like, don't come in my room.
They don't have to be goth to not want them in their room.
Yeah, no. But just given the vibe that she's giving,
the Night Watcher,
imagery works better. Yes,
it's like the Night Watcher is definitely a goth. Oh, man.
First of all, that name is totally a World of Warcraft name.
What, the Night Watcher?
Yeah,
Edgelord.
definitely.
But yeah, so Cultivation comes out and starts talking to Dalinar, and she's basically saying, "You're the son of honor. You serve honor. Go talk to him." And Dalinar says, "Well, I spoke to the Ardents. They didn't give me what I wanted." And she just sort of snaps at him. She's like, "They gave you exactly what you deserved. The truth you've crafted for yourselves." Okay, so
she's not as
this is
forgiving
sort of
as Preservation or Harmony.
this is sort of a theme that Brandon has been handling, particularly in this book, but over the course of all 3 books, is taking responsibility for your actions. Mm-hmm. And at this point, like, you kind of see that's what Dalinar wants to do, but also does not have the ability to do. He's just so broken at this point.
It's too much for him to take. He can't function at this point, and he just, it's too big of a task right now.
And, again, the fact that he asks for forgiveness. Now, when she says that, it shocks. It doesn't shock Dalinar, but it's like a smack to his face, and he just looks down in despair and he says that I'm doomed. And when he says they weep, mother, that's sort of when Cultivation kind of changes her stance towards him. And I'm not sure if it's the fact that he said they weep, that he recognized them, that he heard them, that the voices of those he had killed actually did haunt him and he felt guilt for that, or if it was the fact that he called her mother.
It could go either way.
Because, she called him son of honor, son of odium, and he speaks to her and calls her mother. I find that a very interesting sort of parallel that was used there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to think about it, but it's interesting. And then on top of it, she seems very much like she is a bit imperious about it, because she's 1/16 of a god. If anyone's going to be imperious about things, seems like a good person to do so.
Well, I mean, when Dalinar, looks at her, he realizes that she's only showing a very small portion, and that I think the words Brandon uses is she extended into eternity.
Yeah. When she melds with the forest and...
Yeah, something to that effect. She's not as tangible as the Night Watcher is.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, I don't know, it's interesting. And I find her, because we know she's also playing a game, not in a sense that she...
Not in a flippant way.
Yeah,
but she's
in a war for survival. She knows she is. But
she's also, it feels like, of the shards that we've seen, she's taken a lot of responsibility about her role.
Yeah, but I'd say other than Harmony, she's probably the one who's... Well, then again, I guess we don't know what's going on Nalthis.
I was going to say, Endowment very well may have as well. I mean, it literally spoke to the Returned, and
and I mean, it's
back.
giving a piece of itself to every return, so that's a pretty big investment too, even if it isn't as I'm putting my hands in it compared to I'm giving a piece of myself.
Well, and who knows what's going on with autonomy?
Yeah.
So,
but the
autonomy does their own thing.
But yeah, she's very much trying to play a game, and I love how when she's deciding this, she's like, in this, I am potentially handing him a weapon. She's weighing the potential benefit of interceding here. She has to be very judicious with how she uses this power, because she can see Dalinar as a very key piece. I mean, he's supposed to be the Bane of Roshar.
Well, and then the line that she comes in with afterwards, she says, "It will do me well to have a part of you, even if you ultimately become his. You are always bound to come to me. I control all things that can be grown, nurtured. That includes the thorns."
I loved that line.
Such a good line. I'm just like, yes! And then so she takes his atrocities from his mind, but as the cost, he also takes Evie. And I love Dalinar's response. He had never deserved her. So it's like,
I
this
didn't
is a
deserve
cost
her,
that I have to pay because I don't deserve her. Even if he wanted to keep her,
which makes,
he never deserved her. It was a
jumping
fair
ahead,
price.
it makes the moment where he hears Evie forgive him so much stronger.
Oh gosh.
Like, I don't remember it happening last time. Apparently, I was too caught up, and there was too much to keep track of. But this time, I saw it, and I was like, "Oh!"
I was the same way.
Oh, you
The
were
same thing
you were
happened to me.
distracted by
everything else.
Is that what was going on for you? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, all the things. And I was reading and this time I was like, I can make myself stay slower and catch the little details that I was missing.
Well, I mean, between we had a month for this part to actually go over and reread and
Well,
yeah.
I was still bad. I made my dice like 2 weeks before FanX, which was not a great choice, but it worked out. So yes.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I mean, they seem to go over well. So
Yeah. It was just I had no life before FanX, so it was great.
I still have no life. So
But no, it was. I don't know. It's classic Brandon in that we got so much, and yet at the same time,
so many more questions.
There's so many little tidbits you still want to know about.
he's so good at that, at answering one question, but giving you like 9 more.
Like 9 shadows. Speaking of, let's actually jump back to the present day and our intrepid adventurers.
Meanwhile, back in a horrible place.
Back in the cognitive
Shadesmar.
realm, we have our trio of Adolin, Kaladin, and Shalon. Hey, our triangle are stuck in the cognitive realm.
And the other 3 that are with them, too. Their triangle that goes with them. Because there's Syl and Pattern
Yeah.
and Maya.
Yeah, that's a different kind of triangle. I
Yeah,
guess.
I know. They're following triangles.
This spread.
Anyway.
But anyway, so we've got Adolin, who was he wounded at the end
he
of
gets
the last
wounded.
section?
He gets wounded in this section.
At the beginning of this, okay.
Because
Yeah.
it's when
I
he's
remember.
doing his part and he's trying to distract some fused and he ends up with like just his knife against him, but he can't train for how you deal with things that fly. So they're just like, boop.
I love that line where he's, first of all, he's like talking about his buddy, like didn't even do it because it's like, what idiot with a shard blade, would have to fight with a knife?
This idiot right here.
Yeah, Yakimov. That's the guy who betrayed him.
Oh,
in the previous book.
that guy.
And then he's like, I've trained for this, and he's like, he died 7 times out of 10.
It's like most of the time I did not do well. The sad thing, I think he succeeds until there's the flying factor.
Yeah,
So he would have succeeded if they couldn't fly, but they can't. So
Your point is moot. I can fly.
yes,
And then, as he's just in a rough spot, suddenly Maya, his
she goes rabid.
his-
Oh my goodness!
what's it? What scratched out eyes?
Scratched
Dead
out-
eyes.
Oh,
Dead eyes.
Yes.
She basically turns into the girl from The Ring. Speaking of Japanese horror films,
We don't need to bring them all up. That's scary.
and just starts going ballistic and attacks the
Like
fuse from behind.
she almost makes me think of more like just like a raccoon or something, just like going and like lunging and then just like scratching and biting and.
Oh gosh, and it's just so satisfying. And he's just like, "Thank you."
And he's crawling away to try and save his life.
But the thing that's really interesting here is again, people have said they don't want to see Adolin become a Radiant because he's the
one normal guy.
the normal who's awesome. But at the same time, it's just
There's too many hints.
there are too many hints that he's going to be an edge dancer. Because first off, Maya is a cultivation sprint. You can see from her description, made of vines and all this stuff. Second of all, what has Adolin done? He's remembering those who have been forgotten. Maya had been forgotten.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's the whole
And since
there's
before-
proof in like he summons her faster, and she
Right.
says her name to him.
Right.
Too.
But and since before he even realized that she was a Sprin, he's been speaking to her and remembering her. He didn't give her a name because he thought that she probably already had one.
And he didn't have the right to name her since she already had a name, and he doesn't want to replace
Exactly.
it.
And it's just like that. That's exactly what an edge dancer does. Plus the way he moves. Like, I want to see fully powered up Adolin with edge dancer abilities. It's just,
Oh, he's gonna be terrifying and wonderful.
it's either coming or Brandon is getting ready to break our hearts.
Well, the other thing it could
Don't go
be,
there, Bill.
He
No.
doesn't have to become an edge dancer. We don't know what happens if you wake up a Deadeyes.
He may be a whole new
He
class
could be
of
some
thing.
completely different. That's true. That's very true.
And so it's just one of
Are they
those
still
things.
in-
That I don't know what's going to happen, but anything could happen, and anything probably will.
Yeah.
I just like watching Adolin and Maya. It's fun.
Oh, it's a great dynamic that he's built. And again, the fact that he summons her in 7 heartbeats is just like, what are you doing, Brandon?
Yes.
What are you doing?
So
Meanwhile, Kaladin is having his own fun little adventure where things are getting bad, and he's getting ready to say the fourth ideal, and Syl's just like, come on, Kaladin, you can do it. It's time. It's time.
He can't.
And he can't. Which is one thing, it leads me, a lot of people have theorized about what is the fourth ideal? What's the next thing going to be? I have a suspicion, like a lot of people have said, it's that you accept that you can't protect everybody because that's
You're not going to
the
be
sort
able
of
to.
progression. I think the harder thing for Kaladin is that I think he has to forgive himself for those he can't protect. It's not just an accept that I can't protect, but it's forgive himself, because that's something Kaladin has never been able to do.
Yeah, he's not good at forgiving himself.
Yeah, but
Plus, there's a whole forgiveness and responsibility thing going on.
Yeah.
I think the cooler part about that is how we know he has limited Stormlight. I love seeing him go up against, like, what is it, 5 others or whatever.
I think it's like 4. He's with 4, and there's like the 2 that are left down that like Adolin and like the shadow thing that Shallan is doing.
I love how
dealing with.
he admits he's not as practiced as them, but he's still
Just going for it.
He's still Kaladin.
The sky is his.
And I love that, like, he steps out there and they're all like, one person? We have to deal with one human? What? And then he's like, bring it. Come and get me.
You don't have to deal with one. You have to deal with me.
Me.
Well, and I love that he's like, he gives his final little, like, let's do this, and then immediately runs out of Stormlight, and you just hear bump bump ba-dum.
Oh, poor Cal.
And he's just in my head. I imagine that going differently.
Yeah.
I picture that differently in my mind. And then meanwhile, Shallan.
Oh, man. Poor Shallan.
Oh, Shallan is going through some stuff, guys.
So much stuff. All the stuff. Like, she makes the illusion so that the Spren and Adolin are pretending to be all be illusions, which Pattern loves, apparently.
That.
Yeah, I do love that Pattern's enjoying things.
He's having the time of his life.
Pattern. How is he just as
He's just
naively adorable in Shadesmar as he is in...
because he's Pattern.
Do you not love him?
Pattern is Pattern.
And then Shallan's up there trying to convince the giant Spren, the Oathgate Spren, right?
Right.
That she's like, can you open the gate? I've got Stormlight. And they're like, we were told we can't do this. Sorry, can't do it.
We were told by Honor not to open his... Well, Honor's dead, so it's essentially pretty permanently locked.
They're like, we can't open it. Can't open it. She's like, she even tries like doing an illusion on herself and all. She just cannot
Oh, gosh.
get them to change.
Yep.
I feel it's one of those things you're just like, come on, guys. And they're just like, we're sorry. We would love to be able to do it, but we cannot.
It kind of reminds me of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy when they're like, oh, the planet's Earth's going to be destroyed. It's just part of it. We can't change it. The order's already been made. And it's like, but we had no way to contact. Just like the total can't do it.
Catch-22.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, also, if you haven't read the physical copy of the book, you should, because there's a really cool illustration of these two things in there. And they're quite imposing.
Huge.
So, and then something happens. All of them, like all of the things that they're fighting, including the giant red mist, just disappears. And I love and they're just like, oh, cool, they're gone. And then then who is it that raises the point? They're just like, Guys,
Where did they
aren't you
go?
curious where they went?
This is before they even engage. Like,
Was this before?
It's before,
That's
because they
right.
go down and there's only, like, 6 fuse left.
That's right.
That's right, because they don't want to even try it before then. Otherwise, they'd have been way overwhelmed. So they go down after it's happened.
So yeah, all of this is going on in the cognitive realm. Meanwhile, in the physical realm, the real world,
All of the blood and death and
everything's going down.
Who do we even start
First,
with on that?
first thing I think we start with Dalinar.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to be bouncing back and forth on this. We're not going to be able to follow one thread through just because all of them are so...
It's all too intertwined.
So crazily interwoven. But, Dalinar meets up with Odium, and it's
He stepped out he steps out and he just brings his book with him, The Way of Kings.
Right. And I love Navani's perspective where she looks and she just sees a lone figure holding nothing but a book.
And it's like, and
she's
he's
just like-
going to go face them with a book? What?
Does Lift come to him before or after they talk to Odium?
After.
I think it is after.
It's after, because it's after.
Yes, it's after the whole
'Cause he's...
full confrontation.
Yes. After the awesome line by Dalinar. So, yeah.
There's a few awesome lines by
Well,
Dalinar.
the one of the really most
The
awesome.
You
the
sure?
first awesome.
I think she talks to him before Odium because because
Fairly certain she doesn't.
She has to because when Dalinar gives them all tasks after he brings them all back, he's like, I already gave you a task.
Well, she comes back. She
Yeah.
meets up with him after he's chased Odium off temporarily, and
Yeah, but she met with him before Odium talked with him as well. Because she's the only one who stands with them at that point.
Well, we're thinking of 2 different times.
Yeah, I think you're...
Because you're thinking of after she has the ruby.
No, the first time before because she comes up to him, she's like,
Well,
is it just us? And he's like, yep. She's like, you were going to face them all with a book? Yes. And he's like, do you have a weapon?
Really?
Sure. And she's like,
Oh, yeah.
she's like, sure.
I forgot about that then. I
Yep,
guess.
you're right.
Yeah, 'cause she's like, at first she's like, nope,
Because-
never learned how to read.
Yeah. And he's just like, no, a real one. Oh, yeah, I got one of those. And she summons him as a
stick.
rod. He doesn't like hurting
killing
people.
people.
And
You
Dalinar's
can
just
see
like,
Dalinar going,
a sword doesn't like
hurt.
hurting
He's like, well, this
people.
is what I've got. I just
Yeah.
have to make it work.
Yep.
Dalinar and Lift is such a fun little combo.
I love it. It's so cute.
Oh, gosh.
If only it wasn't as fun as Lift and Seth, but
Lift
I would
that
would
is
love
the buddy cop show that I want.
I would love to see Navani trying to mother Lift. That would be hilarious.
Oh, and it's going to happen. And you know what?
You know it is.
I think if anybody can, it's Navani.
Because I mean, she managed to raise Yasna, so yeah, it's a
Yeah.
totally different kind of mothering. But yeah, I could see her doing something.
She could have done better with Elokar, but
Yeah,
still, I think
yeah. Elokar just
spending
had
all that.
issues.
But Yasna's a full-time job on her own.
Oh
so.
yeah.
but I love that Lift remembers those who have been forgotten, or in this case, abandoned.
She's like, well, this looks like it's just us. Okay. And he sends her out to go get the jewel. And this is after Dalinar has seen them pull it. Because how does that work then?
Well, so
Because he goes and helps Rissyn and her master, whose name I forgot.
yeah, he does all that before he
Before he
Vista.
goes up.
Vistum.
Vistum. That's right.
Okay.
But it's
Oh, too
interesting.
many.
So here's the thing that was pointed out. So we get one of Venli's perspectives. She asks, "Is that what we've been here for? Like, is this why we came for a rock?" And he's like, "No, this was just a precaution to prevent a potential disaster." But the heroes wouldn't have known that rock was important if Odium hadn't made
Gone and snatched
certain
it.
that they knew that it was important. They had
They
no
made a
clue.
big deal. I mean, if they had sent just one fused or something after it, I think it would have been a lot less notice than having the
The
what are the rock
Thunderclass.
things? The Thunderclass go and get it, because
Well,
you're
they
gonna
did
notice
just.
the
If you
Thunderclass.
think they did just send one fused in
Well-
in Rissen's chapter. Her little
they did
interlude.
at the beginning.
And then
That's
it's like, okay, but had they just said, you know what, just leave it there, Dalinar would have had no clue, and they would have won the day.
But at the same time, they didn't know that for certain, because Dalinar's got some allies who may have been able to give him some information.
Well, so the two
had
things
they realized it.
The two things that stick out: A, the fact that we know cultivation has meddled in affairs, but the other thing, when they are, this is earlier that I noticed this, when they are in the city, like just sort of surveying it, Renarin asks Kadrulk, and it's like, so do you have any big gems? And we know Renarin sees the future.
Kadrulk is Fenn's son, correct?
Yeah, Fenn's son. And he's
Speaking of, I need to speak an apology, because I referred to him as Ryle several times in a previous episode. I was just straight up wrong, and I apologize for that. So,
but no, it's
anyway, just wanted to acknowledge that.
But we know he's, things are going on with him, and we know that his, from Taravangian stuff, that he's sort of in a blind spot for odium of some kind. We don't know how. And so I think it's somehow this confluence of events prevented Odium's future sight from seeing that we should just leave it alone, they won't know. And he messes up here because of it. We don't know how, but I just have a feeling it's a confluence of stuff that's messing with Odium's ability to predict things correctly.
The only thing I can think of is it's kind of a tie-in with how Renarin's spren is twisted and corrupted, and so maybe that makes it harder, because he's got to have some other than the original spren's influence.
Yeah.
Versus
Well,
and how with Venli, how she ends up having I'm gonna say it wrong. Timbre. It doesn't look like that word. Anyway,
It's French.
I don't speak French.
I'm saying timber.
How her spren is like holding back and restraining the void spren later, and so I wonder if it's a similar kind of thing, and that the non-corrupted spren is still influencing and making that blind spot. But I don't know.
In some ways, it reminds me of
weird
Secret
idea.
History. What is the weakness of all clever men?
They think they're too smart.
Yeah, they don't know as much as they think they do, and I think that's Odium's his current big flaw. He doesn't know as much as he thinks he does.
Right.
There's too many pieces. It'd be hard to keep track of everything.
But he's 1/16 of a god.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, even for that, and there's like the whole people who are slightly corrupted and other things, it makes it that much harder to predict everything they're going to do. But
It's so interesting.
Oh, man.
Just all the pieces interacting.
Well, and then... So Dalinar is doing basically what he's been advised to do in getting Odium to agree to this fight of champions. And, he's doing exactly what he thinks he's supposed to. And Odium just sort of is cocky this entire way. And, of course... sorry, I'm skipping ahead because we're
going to bounce around.
Should
Yeah,
we
we're
talk
gonna
about
bounce
Amaram
around.
real quick and how the
let's
all
talk.
the
Yeah,
soldiers-
let's talk about that. That's exactly what I was thinking.
So yes,
we need to talk about
Venli
first.
gets onto the. She's not on the shores yet, I think, but she's going to be on the shores soon. And she's like, "Why am I here?" And they bring her out and they want her to be a translator, and she's kind of and the listener. They're not called listeners anymore. What are they called? Are they just
Fused?
parshmen? No, not the normal ones. The normal parshmen. Are they just called parshmen now?
No, they were parshmen. Now they're the listeners.
Listeners, okay, because
I think she uses listeners to refer to her people.
her people.
Yeah.
So anyway, the non-humans.
Yeah.
Can't get my words right. So they're not feeling like warriors, and they're like, why can't we just leave? Some
We're
of them weren't that
merchants.
bad. We're merchants. We don't want to go and fight.
We're sailors,
And she's just there to translate, and the Fused are like, just too bad. You gotta you'll earn some honor or some glory or whatever from doing this.
And
then
like, forget glory. I'm out of here.
I don't want to do this. And then, so she's sitting there going, well, where's the army going to come from? And the Fused is like, oh, don't worry, the army's right here. And
These are only here to watch.
they're here to watch. And then the Thrill comes in. That's part of when they come from the cognitive realm. And Amaram's already just, poof, they change and they get red eyes, and they're kind of on the, oh, Dalinar betrayed you and killed Sadeas, so you should go kill them.
Well, and like this has all been cultivated, not cultivation, but like, he's been building this for 3 books.
Oh, yeah.
And, just these bad feelings, the way that Sadeas led his men, the arguments between Dalinar's forces and Sadeas's forces, the fact that Amaram's leading them, all of the stuff that Ray Shafir did, just sowing discontent and stuff. And it's just, it's just like, this has been, building for, again, 3 books. 3 not insignificantly sized books. And it's also just the opportunity. It's like, okay, here we go. Amaram, we've been building you up as a jerk. Let's make this happen.
Yeah, as he gets to, and he ends up after he swallows the stone, he just ends up as ugly on the outside as he did on the inside.
Well, and sorry, I had something brilliant that I was going to say and it's lost. I'm sorry you all missed out on that.
One of the things that strikes me about it is the fact that we find out how much, his being a horrible person actually is eating him up inside in his fight with Kaladin. But the part I find most interesting is how at first Dalinar assumes Amaram is his champion.
Right,
and
exactly.
Thinks he's going to be Odium's champion, yeah.
Yeah, and I just love Odium. Oh, a passionate man, to be sure. It's like, but I need someone who can dominate a battlefield. Someone I've been doing stuff for me for decades, and it's just like, this isn't going well. I have a bad feeling about this.
Well, and then he says, brace yourself because this is going to hurt. Which reminds me of that scene from Hook where he's about to pierce Jack's ear. Oh, yeah. He's like, brace yourself because this is really going to hurt. I'm just like, it's kind of the same sort of thing where it's like you're taking someone important to the other side and claiming them as your own.
Yeah. I looked, and it looks like Venli calls them Parshmen.
Okay.
So, Parshmen.
Right, and the Parshendi are now the listeners, so.
Yes.
And then, of course, there's probably... There may be a roving band of Parshendi out there.
We never know. There's too many groups.
Indeed.
No, it's but, that whole oh crap moment, he's the champion. It's one of those great, surprising, but inevitable reveals by Brandon. Where it's just like, yeah, of course he's the champion. Who else would it be? Well,
and the way he... Like, you can see that there are rules that Odium has to follow because he can't just claim control of somebody. He has to be let in. Sadeas's men have been living in such a way that they're already letting him in.
It's a vampire?
Yeah, kind of. But with Dalinar, he's, basically saying, just saying all of this will go away. All of this pain can go away. Let me take it and everything else. And he keeps showing him all the horrible atrocities that Dalinar has committed. He shows him the rift. He shows him everybody. He talks about a better man than him, a High Lord who was loyal to his High Prince. And Dalinar cut him down. Just all these different people that in his bloodlust through the thrill, Dalinar has killed. And he's like, I was there all the time. You didn't do that. I made you do that.
That was on me.
And finally, again, with this theme of taking responsibility for your actions and growing beyond them and repent, like there's a repentance arc in here. And part of that is accepting responsibility for what you've done. And Dalinar, he's about to break, particularly when he hears Evie scream.
Oh, yeah.
Just that line. It's like, what does she say?
Yeah, and he keeps repeating it. And then like, Odium, he's sort of stands up. He's like, all right, we've got our champion.
He's so sure.
Quietly, Dalinar just says, you can't have my pain. and you know that there's like that double take moment from Odium. What?
What? No, that's not supposed to happen. What?
Well, because especially it's at that time, Amaram's like, "Can I kill him?" And it's like maybe
He's like,
sometime in the
eventually,
future
you know,
if he
If
doesn't
I don't
kill
let
he
him
doesn't-
kill you first.
Yeah.
you're just like, man, this is he is so cocky at that moment. He is
Oh,
so
yeah.
sure he won.
Well, and like Dalinar, again, is clutching to the Way of Kings.
And he like
shoots
has
it
lightning
out of
in
the
it and
hand.
destroy it.
Well, and that's the thing. Odium then does the best sniper shot ever with a lightning bolt.
He wants Dalinar to still be alive after, if he's going to be his champion.
It's just that's precision lightning strike
It's
right
like that's
there.
a trick shot right there. And but Dalinar just holds firm and becomes the Determinator is one of my favorite tropes, where he's just like, no, I will keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, and that's
this
his
is
oath,
my
isn't it? Basically.
That I will accept what I did and promise to do better. I got the wording wrong, but that's
Or rise up a
Basically
better
what I thought of.
man.
Yes, I will rise up a better man each time.
okay.
No, but
Something like
he
that.
he does say, "I will take responsibility." I think is the turn of phrase for the things I've
Or I will
done.
accept what I've done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. But yeah, and then
But I just love that he repeats again, you cannot have my pain. And the thing that's interesting is that by accepting it, shortly after, he starts to feel the pain going away. And you see, from Amaram's perspective, it's the opposite. Dalinar calls him out. He's like, it's still there. You've given it up. But it's still there.
You still have it.
It's still just this hollow feeling. And it's just like, yeah, that's a great little...
and it perfectly
parallel.
reflects when he ingests that thing and Yelignar's taking over, like his chest cavity actually like caves in when Kaladin's fighting with him.
Well, and
like,
he ends up with a gem heart.
yeah. And his heart is fully exposed and he's empty inside at that point. There's nothing there.
Is this the same stone that the queen had? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or at least a similar one.
Can it inhabit more than one person though?
Well,
No,
she's
but,
dead.
like, she's dead. So
Okay, where do we? She dies off screen, I'm guessing, or we just don't know?
because Odium tells Amaram that they're going to give him a housing for Yelignar, and he's like, you swallow a stone and then prepare to take who follows it. So somehow Yelignar inhabits the stone,
except who follows, yeah.
and then he
Okay.
warns him that the queen in Kholinar, she did this too, and it consumed her.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because I couldn't remember what.
Yeah,
If there
that
was a
that did
reference to what
happen
happened
off
to her.
screen.
Okay, which is probably just as well because I don't think we want to see that. Ugh. Anyway,
But yeah. Oh man. And then after speaking the oath, Dalinar. So in book 2, Dalinar did what we called the last clap. And I think we proved in this one that was not the last clap, because now he reaches to the side and he grabs hold of, it just says he grabs hold of the cognitive realm. And then he reaches to the other side and he grabs hold, and he's just like, he does what now? But it's like he grabs hold of the very essence of it. And, Brandon doesn't explain, and I don't think that he should even try to explain, because that's just,
It's
he
too cool.
grabbed reality.
yeah,
And then he grabbed the other part of reality and he brought them all together.
and it's I think it has unite them again, and it's like this is him uniting them right there, all the ropes.
Well, and that's the thing. I love the unite them theme is it's so multi-layered. Like there's so many things that I think it's referred to a lot of different things at different times. I don't think it actually is a specific thing.
Well, here's the thing is, in the past 3 books, it's grown. In the first, it was unite the high princes so that unite the country. In the second, it was unite the countries in the world and unite the world. And in this one, it's unite all of the worlds. And
And then
So it's
and the other thing, some people could look at this and be like, "Oh, what a Deus Ex Machina," where he
Literally.
where he just pulls it out. There's no explanation of how this really works, and they're not wrong. there's no explanation, but it still flows within, what is traditionally called, like Brandon's rules of magic, because the magic wasn't used to solve anything outside of what, like,
powering up everybody else.
Yeah. And then on top of it, it solved a problem that was also equally unexplained. Like, why couldn't they use the Oath Gate? Well, it's not really explained, but Dalinar bypasses that with something else that's equally unexplainable.
Well, and also, Brandon has given us enough explanations about the magic system that we trust him that we'll get enough of this explanation to be fully satisfied later.
Yeah, at some point.
He's built a good, account of trust with his readers.
And I mean, if Dalinar had just like ended the battle right then it would have felt a lot more Deus Ex Machina compared to it fixed a problem. He still has to have Kaladin defending him from Amaram and the Fused and things like that, and he still has to go do the whole thing with the Thrill, and that's not done by uniting things; it's by doing other stuff. And I mean, and there's still a whole bunch of other problems, so it's not just poof, everything's
just
fixed.
A few more problems.
Oh, just a smidge.
But yeah, it's just, exactly. That's not the end of the battle. That's the beginning. That's when things really start to happen.
It's the ramping up.
Yeah. That's still part of the rising action. That's not the climax of the story.
And it would have been so easy to try and come up with a different solution. Oh, like, do this, do that. And he perfectly places problems that all of them can solve, but none. It's not going to be easy for anyone in there. And I love how desperate times make for strange bedfellows in this case, where Yesna shows up with Renarin, and she's just like, at any point, we're still just, there's still only 7 of us, even if one of us is the storming assassin in white. And it's for Yesna. Oh, here's the guy who killed my father. And
I have to work with him now.
And we're just going to be working with him. And he's just like, I serve Dalinar Kholin now. And everyone's just like, whatever, just roll with it. Roll with it.
We're going to go with it because, it's better to have him helping us than helping the other side. So we'll just deal with it.
And on that note, I think we should actually start wrapping up our discussion for this week, because there's a whole bunch of stuff, but I think that's actually a really good pausing point. Because at this point, the thing that's really cool about this, and a lot of people have talked about, is that on Thaylen Field, you have a representative from each, or potentially a representative from each of the 10 Radiant Orders. One of them it hasn't been made certain, but a lot of people have theorized that Ash is eventually going to be a Dustbringer. Even though she's... Because
Malta... Is it Malta, or what is her name? The Dustbringer that we... Yes, she's not there.
She's not there. But we have somebody from each of the... Basically, the 10 viewpoint characters, the flashback characters, all of them are on this field at this point. And that's kind of what we're going to go into in the next episode, I think. And I think that's just a perfect stopping point for here. What do y'all think?
I guess so.
I know, there's so much.
It's terrible. Now I'm all like amped and I really want to talk about more and more of it, but then I know I'm going to devolve into like just saying things are cool and not really having a good discussion about it. And I do have to be awake for children tomorrow and things. So, yeah.
Oh, those things need a parent?
Yes. Otherwise they break into the pantry, eat all the candy. He climbs the shelves. It's terrible.
That actually gives us a good segue, though, because thanks to our patrons, we are able to hold our monthly giveaways, and all of the giveaways are open to everyone and free to enter. But because tonight's discussion of the Battle of Thaylen Field involves a representative from each of the 10 Orders of Night Radiant, potentially, and also all of the 10 flashback characters Brandon has announced, this time we are going to be giving away a shirt. This is a shirt that features the symbol of the Knights Radiant, representing each of the 10 orders as well. It's a large t-shirt. It's an adult large. And unfortunately, this is one we're going to have to say we can only ship to U.S. addresses just because otherwise it gets really, really expensive. But in order to find out how to enter to win this shirt, follow our social media accounts on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Keep an eye out in the next couple days, and we'll post exactly what you can do to enter. Of course, special thanks to Brandon Sanderson's online store at store.brandonsanderson.com for sending us so many awesome goodies to share with our listeners.
Yeah, of the shirts that we got in there, that's definitely, in my opinion, the coolest one. Not the coolest thing overall, but it's the coolest one in there.
I knew that was coming. That line's there every time. Every time.
It's called it's foreshadowing.
We are, of course, still collecting emails from you, our listeners. Write in, give us your feedback, ask us your questions, let us know what you think of what's going on in the Cosmere. And also, if there is a specific topic that you would like us to dedicate an episode of in the future, let us know. Because, we want we make the show for you. Mm-hmm. And if there is a topic that you really want us to discuss, we'd love to know it and focus around it. If there's a question or just, an aspect of the Cosmere that you think deserves an episode, you can send questions and suggestions to cosmerestudies@gmail.com. We may just read your email on air, or not on air. I guess it's on stream. On stream. Yeah, as part of the show.
We'll read it wherever we want.
We'll probably read it in private first and then discuss it on the show. So, we got our eyes on you.
Good. It's all good.
Don't try and slip anything through. We'll catch it. We're clever.
It's true.
Anyway, outside the show, we do have our own personal projects. Jordan, where can we find your work outside of the Institute?
The best place is twitch.tv/splicestream. The Professional Amoeba League is about to crank up. It's the best work I do, in my opinion. So I say come along. If that's not your cup of tea, well, the wonderful XCOM that I do, I think it could also potentially be a tea of which you drink. So, consider all of them. Enjoy them.
Okay, then. And Amy, how about you? What can we find you doing outside of the podcast, and what have you been up to?
So I'll do my internet stuff, and then I'll say what I've been up to.
Awesome.
So my Facebook is Coincidence Cosplay and Props. My Twitter is @CoincidenceCosp because my name is too long. Instagram is @coincidence_cosplay. And yes, I know they're all very long names. So I'm doing a Lore Olympus photo shoot later this month, and I hope to put up pictures from that. I'm going to be Hera, like the goddess from Olympus and stuff like that.
Lore Olympus. Okay.
Lore Olympus. Yes,
I heard Allure Olympus. I'm like, dude, who's Allure Olympus? I've never heard of this person.
No, it's LORE, Lore Olympus. The cold is not helping anything. Anyway, so I'm going to be part of that, and I'll hope to put up pictures from that. I also have, and so once I have that done, then I can actually try and do Shalon and then start on my huge project for hopefully next year's FanX cosplay contest, which is going to be Nyreen Kandros for Mass Effect 3. But that's going to be like super long to take care of because I want it to be good and it's intimidating.
Cool.
But yeah, that and I make dice. So if you want dice pillows, just let me know.
Awesome.
They're big and they're so fuzzy.
And they're so fun and squishy.
They're so fluffy.
It's so fluffy, I could die.
And when I'm not here, I've got board game reviews over at the Innkeeper's Table at www.innkeeperstable.com. I haven't been able to play board games in a long time. I've been out of town. I've been doing all sorts of stuff. But hopefully I'll be able to start playing some soon. I'm really hoping to get a group together to play Betrayal Legacy, which I'm really, really excited about. So hopefully that should start soon. I do post about games on social media, so go check those out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All of those accounts are at Innkeeper's Table. For those of you who listen and want to help support us, but you're not ready to become a patron just yet, we would love it if you'd head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star review over there. That'd also really help us out. It'd help other people find the show, and it'd help other people decide that, hey, someone likes the show. Maybe I'll give it a listen. So, just.
And we also have put it up on Reddit, right? Too. We put our episodes links for that.
We do post episode links on Reddit, so if you want to go over and upvote those as well, that'd be great.
The Cosmere subreddit. If you're listening to this and you don't go to the Cosmere subreddit, I think you're missing out on a lot of fun.
Yeah, you really should. It's a great community. There's some awesome discussions over there. The mods have been actually really great as well. You can tell a lot of them work directly with the 17th Shard and the Copper Mine, so you know that they know what they're doing. So, yeah. Before we go, any final thoughts on what we've talked about so far? We've gotten to the beginning of the battle, so I feel like we've made some progress.
Yeah, I'm just happy that we were able to get to Dalinar's "You Cannot Have My Pain, I Am Unity" moment, because there's a lot leading up to it, and we're probably going to still bounce back and forth, but...
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, it's awesome.
I do feel like it's good, because we've talked about Dalinar, and then the next one... Everybody else is running around the field doing different things, sliding around, melting walls, fixing walls, and...
Taking down Thunderclass, yes.
Destroying Destiny, essentially, as well. So,
Fun
it's just, all in a day's work.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
So,
it'll be fun.
I keep finding there's layers to the layers to the layers to the layers in here, and it still is crazy.
It's like layers we don't even know about yet.
I know. I'm still surprised that I didn't realize Felt. I'm like, wow,
It's not a big.
I
he's
didn't
not an
catch
important
it until.
character.
Yeah, but
I only recognized it because I was so weird about the name in Mistborn. I was just like, what a dumb name.
Felt like the fabric.
Fabric?
It's like, what is that's a bad name. Yeah. And then he shows up. I'm like, this guy again.
Anyway, in addition to the live episodes of the show that we stream on twitch.tv/Innkeeper's Table every 2 weeks on Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, our listeners can find video versions of our episodes on YouTube or audio versions of the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, basically anywhere else where you can find podcasts by searching for Cosmere Studies. You can also follow us and contact us through Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under the profile @Cosmere Studies. Now, for our next episode, we are not done talking about this Brandon Avalanche. There is so much going on in these chapters, and we're going to keep digging deeper and wider and broader in all other directions. We will be recording the next episode on September 30th, 2019 at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, so join us here in chat on Twitch to be a part of it. In the meantime, though, on behalf of Amy, Jordan, and myself, thanks for listening, and remember, there's always another secret.